here because you say you want all of this stuff. You say you want to be this. You say you want to do this. You say you want to show up in the world this way. But when I look at the lives of these individuals, I don't see the commitment. I don't see the hunger. I don't see the tenacity. I don't see the determination, the resilience, the courage. All of these forces that I know drive your success in life, I don't see them in operation. I see excuses. I see laziness. I see mediocrity. I see average. I don't see the commitment. And what I'm trying to get you to get today is that if you're going to live the life you were born for, you got to give yourself to it. You know, there are a lot of trade offs you have to make, there are a lot of sacrifices that you will have to make. But I'm telling you, it'll be so worth it because at the end, you're going to step into the life that I know you've been born to live. And so I can hear some of you arguing and grappling with that statement, but as someone that has trained and developed leaders around the world, I can tell you that the thing that is missing in most people's lives is the critical piece called commitment. Some will consider me peculiar or an anomaly. However, the thing that has really made the difference in my life is commitment. It's commitment. I mean, everybody's looking for something deep and profound. They're looking for this insight to just hit them in the gut. And it's really about commitment. I mean, there are other pieces. I believe that God has given me an revolutionary mindset and paradigm that makes me unique. I believe that God has gifted me as a communicator to communicate truths and principles in a way that nobody else on this planet can do it. I believe that God has given me the ability to connect with people and be empathetic in a way that not everybody can be. So there are a lot of other forces at work, but to become who I have become, it has taken commitment. And for you to become all you were born to be, you're going to have to be committed to it as well. I believe that um, I often say that when other people were playing, I was perfecting my craft. I watch a lot of people play the role of a victim and tell their sad story. I didn't have the right opportunities. I didn't come from the right neighborhood. I was born on the wrong side of the tracks. You know, they have all of the little stories to, and I'm like signal the violins. Everybody has a story. But at the end of the day, what I know has made the difference in my life is while other people were playing and, just hanging out and doing what they do, I was perfecting my craft. I have been very committed to my growth, my development and mastery, and I have been in pursuit of excellence. And I believe that that has helped me to become the person that I've become today. And when other people were content being common, I was daring to be uncommon. Everybody that knows me will tell you that Jamel has never been interested in being like everybody else. And I feel like one of the things that God has done to protect me is to help me to understand my identity and who I am. It's why I wrote the book Significance, Reclaiming Your Personal Power in a World That Discounts Your Difference. Go get that book right now because most people in the world are suffering from an identity crisis. I know it because I lived it. I'm not telling you something that I looked up in a research book or I read in some psychological journal. I'm telling you what I lived. I lived an identity crisis, so I can see it in other people all the time, even when they can't see it in themselves. And you have to get that piece together. And I feel like the reason that my journey had to go the way it went, and it felt like there were so many ups and downs and highs and lows and curves and turns and all types of things that have happened in my journey. But God had to get me solidified in who I am because one of the things I tell people about leadership and influence is that if you don't know who you are, you will spend the rest of your life fulfilling who other people want you to be. And we live in a culture and a society that wants to squeeze you into a mold. They want to tell you who you are. They want to define your brand. They want to define how high you go. They want to tell you what your potential is, and they're not you. I could go on and on about what other people want to do and how they want to put you in a box and limit you because they're limited. And somebody like me, they don't know how to handle it because it's like, no, I'm not that, and no, I'm not going to do that, and no, I'm not changing to that. And they begin to feel very threatened because who does he think he is? I'm Jamel Sanders. I know exactly who I am. And it's taken me a lifetime to get there, but you can get there as well. And you have to understand who you are because it's hard to commit to a life that you're born for when you're confused about who you are. We could end this whole episode right there and go home. It's very hard to embrace a life that you've been born for when you're confused about who you are. I tell people all the time, you don't know who you are. And I know you don't know who you are because you change just like the weather and the seasons. Here in North Carolina, the weather is very fickle. So, it'd be 80 degrees one day and it may barely get out of the 50s the next day. It's just how the weather patterns are here. And that's how a lot of people's lives are. They're all gung ho and excited about something. And then the next week, they're confused and they don't know who they are, what they want to do. And you got to get established in your true identity so that you can show up in the world as the greatest expression of who God created you to be. When others were playing it safe, I was playing a bigger game. And they were laughing at me. They were saying, you're crazy. You're too ambitious. Your goals are too big. You dream in this false reality. That's not going to happen. It's unrealistic. I laugh at that stuff today because I'm like, all these people that were telling me this, where are they? They're not doing anything of value or significance in the world. And to think that even for a second I thought about entertaining these foolish words from people who are not doing anything or going anywhere. And I say that because so many of you listening to me, you let people who do not know who they are or where they're going try to tell you what you can do. Don't let them put you in a box. Don't let them put ceilings or limitations on your life. You stay focused on your vision and what it is that God has put you here to do. And when others were saying it was impossible, I've been defying the odds. There are a lot of people, they don't understand it. They look at my life, they're like, I don't understand, Jamel, how you're able to do the things you're doing. I don't understand how God has given you the influence that you have. Why is it that when you talk, people listen? Why is it that when you open your mouth, people pay attention and not just, the thing about it, I always tell people this. I'm a man of faith and I don't hide my faith at all. There are some people that try to hide it and put it under, guise of something. I'm going to talk about faith. You're going to hear about faith. You're going to hear me talking about prayer. You're going to hear me talking about God. It's going to come out in the conversation. So people are like, I'm confused at how this man of faith has influence with so many different people from so many walks of life. I said, well, that's God. That's not me. That's not something that I could manufacture or engineer for myself. That's God. And people have seen me and know me well enough. They've seen my character in my life to know that when he says something, they know that there is a conviction behind it because they've seen me walk these things out. They've seen me live this out and they've seen me get the results. And they know that when Jamel talks, he's going to come with answers. He's not going to come with a bunch of jargon and things that don't make sense, but I'm going to give them answers for their lives. And I strive with everything in me to be a solutionist everywhere I go. I want to be able to bring solutions and bring answers and wisdom to people's lives that can help them. That's why I do what I do. It's why I do this podcast because I can't have conversation. Everybody is not privileged to get to spend time with me. Everybody is not able to call me up or text me. But this is our opportunity to sow into the world and to give everybody a glimpse of what those in my inner circle get on a consistent basis. And it's why I do this because I want to get these insights and principles into the hands of as many people as possible so that it can revolutionize your life just like it's revolutionized mine. And, the thing about it is that when others were being mediocre or doing what they were doing, I have always been committed to mastery. I want to master myself. So many people want to master the money game or master, health or master nutrition or master whatever. I've always been very focused on mastering myself because I realize that I cannot really be of benefit to the world around me until I master the world inside of me. And I can't stay there either. The point I'm trying to make is that some people will argue that my mindset, passion, communication, or even my acumen have made me